Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I am showing you a Shenron list, and I am very excited to show this list to you guys. This deck is pretty cool. Basically what we are doing here is we are just going all in on the mill targets. We're running 4 of every single mill target in the game, and we're hoping to just get it twisted. Despite being a high roll deck, this deck actually is pretty consistent. We can very reliably get to turn 4, play the Goku, and then make our wish. The real high roll of this deck, though, is whether you draw the mill targets or not. If you draw your opening hand and your hand is like all Krillins and Roshis and Gohans, you're probably going to lose. And especially if you don't mill the Kami going first, that is a huge problem. But other than that, if we can get our mill targets into the deck, this deck actually can pop off pretty considerably. As far as tech cards we're running Dende as our main starter. This is just mill 5, 10k combo. You can make the argument that the mill 4, 20k is better, but I like this card because it's combo, and usually you're just going to combo off the board as soon as you play it. And then we're also playing the Goku just as a target to grab back with Roshi. We're also running 4 Hercules. This can grab back a variety of things, usually either a Bulma, or a Dragon Radar if we need to, or a Goku. But yeah, that's the list. Let's take a look at the games. So our first game of the day is up against Satan City. We're going to play one off-meta game, and then I'll show off the Boo and Cell games, of course. We're starting off with just playing Dende with Marker. When you don't draw Kami, that's really good, because that means you're pretty much guaranteed to get it off mills eventually, and those Dragon Balls do hit pretty good mills. We get a blocker and the Marker. This deck is very different from some other Shenron builds in that we're trying to play kind of a slow game. We want to ideally awaken around turn 4, like playing a Goku, milling, getting the last of our Dragon Balls, awakening, and then ideally awaken every 2 turns after that. So kind of trying to maintain hand advantage with the Roshis, stay high life, and just outgrind our opponent. We can't deck out, so we can just keep playing the game forever. And you'll kind of see that in the Satan City game. We go pretty late. But yeah, these sharpeners are kind of a problem. We really can't deal with those until like turn 4. This deck has 0 removal until the top end comes down. So we got nothing right now. We're going to go for the Bulma here. Looking through our deck, grabbing another Bulma. Love doing that. Love just grabbing Bulma Dragon Balls out of life. It's so free. And we get 2 blockers off the mills. That's pretty good. Bulma again. Pitch a Dragon Ball. We'll draw a card and pass the turn. So we're trying to awaken next turn if possible. We do like to try and stay high life as Shenron, but unfortunately he has a lot of pressure here. It's just Satan City. A lot of 30Ks. So we kind of have to just go down to 4 here. And these sharpeners are brutal for us. Play the Goku, stack some cards, mill some cards, and we get back the Gohan, a Marker, and a Goku from drop. I go for the Bulma, trying to get lucky here and find the last of our Dragon Balls. We get 1 out of life, mill 2, no Dragon Balls. No Hiroshi though, that's more combo. And no mills with the Gohan either. And of course the drop returns a Dragon Ball, but whatever. It's fine, we got a Goku online, so we are chilling. He has a lot of pressure though, for sure. Going for the Videl here, grabbing back Girls with Short Hair. Fortunately, he's actually gone through a lot of his extras now. He's pretty much used every draw spell in the deck, so he can only really grab them back with Videl at this point. But he has a lot of Videls, unfortunately. Going 30, we'll block out. 30 again, we'll super. And 31 last time, we'll take that one. Pretty dire here, but we do have a pretty good turn, because we can go for the stack, and then the awaken, and then Goku again to mill more cards. Go for the final Dragon Ball, get a Krillin, and awaken. Yeah, that 7 drop is very good in this matchup. Typically this deck actually goes for the Gogeta instead, especially in this meta, because for Boo and Cell, the Gogeta is just more effective. But against Satan City, we'll take that Triple Striker. Going for the Goku here, any cards that you can mill after you've awakened are going to be super impactful, because that just gets you way ahead on Dragon Balls. We see we already have 4 Dragon Balls in drop, which is really, really lucky. Goes for the Zeno, unfortunately. We kind of don't mind that he played Zeno, because now the bottom of our deck is guaranteed not to be Dragon Balls. One of the big weaknesses of this deck is that if the last card in your deck is a Dragon Ball, things get very awkward. There's still a way around it. Actually, we shuffled the deck right there, so it doesn't even matter. But there are ways around it. Typically, the way you get around Dragon Ball being the bottom of the card of your deck is you stack with the Goku, and you have 4 cards in deck. Then you mill 2 with the Dragon Balls, you're down to 2 in deck. And then you flip, draw, you'll have 1 in deck when you awaken, and you'll be fine. So, yeah, Goku stacking is typically the way that you avoid decking out with this deck, but it is definitely a concern. If you don't have that setup, it can be tough to awaken without running out of cards in your deck. But yeah, we're on like what, turn 20 or something, and he's still at 8 life. So at this point, I'm like, okay, we're probably just gonna have to completely awaken stall this guy and try and deck him out. And he's kind of out of cards. Let's think about Titan City. They kind of do run out of pressure eventually. They have a lot of 1-drops, but not too many late game cards. And we see the Zeno off the top there, which is a bit concerning for us. So now we know anything we commit to is going to get removed. So we really can't go for a game at all. We have to just keep swinging board. They're going to go for the second Zeno, bottom decking all our guys. We'll combo out. And we're kind of out of resources here, unfortunately. And top decking to Gogeta does not help. We'll try and mill something to get us out of it. We don't quite get there. This deck can be kind of fickle. If you run out of resources, you do kind of just die. Luckily, our opponent's kind of out of pressure, so they can't really kill us even though we have nothing in hand right now. But yeah, it's unfortunate. Ideally, you want to keep resources up the entire game, but if you mismanage it, you can get stuck like this. I'm going to go for the Vegito here. I'm really hoping he does the bounce effect, because if he goes to 1 in deck, we win the game. He does not, though, sadly. We go 20 into the field. Gogeta. Out a 6-drop. At this point, we're just hoping that he has nothing else in hand that can pressure us. Try to get some combo here before we end turn. Don't quite get there. He's going to go 15 in. He finally finds that final Hope Slash, but it's a bit too late at this point. Had he found that earlier in the game, we probably wouldn't have won. But we take those. Going to go for the Eraser. Literally nothing in deck. Just grab the Sharpener. We're going to go Goku here. Stacking. And we can kind of just make some money here. With 0 cards in our deck, our opponent's just going to concede. I believe their hand right now, if I remember correctly, is 4 Supers, Satan City Field, and like an Eraser or something. So it's just completely unplayable. But yeah, that's Shenron. We can just play the game infinitely. It's pretty cool. Next up, we will be playing against Boo. Our next game of the day is up against Boo. And I really feel like Boo's watched this format. I feel like all these videos we play against Boo, and it's a complete bloodbath. But hey, we'll take the wins. Bulma coming down here for Dragon Balls. We got another Bulma Dragon Ball out of life. Love doing that. And we spent marker here. One of the big skill expression things with this deck is knowing when to use the Kami. And it's very tough because you need to have marker up for 5-drop Goku on turn 4. But you also want to spend the marker because you get value out of milling Kami. So it's like you have to manage how many Kamis in your deck, how many are in life, how many are in your hand, and kind of decide when to spend marker and when not to. It can be very tough though, because if you spend marker and then you like draw a Kami for turn, and then you find one in life, it's like, oh, I guess I just lose. So it's very risky. You do have to spend markers aggressively in this deck, for sure. We go for the Hercule here, just grabbing Bulma. Dragon Radar to grab a Dragon Ball, and then we pitch Dragon Ball for the Bulma. Anytime we can pitch a Dragon Ball instead of playing it is great, because that's just hand advantage for us instead of having to like go minus just playing a Dragon Ball. Our opponent's going to go here 20 direct. They're doing the Bobbity stuff, which is completely fine for us because that's just so slow. 25 into our face, and they make a barrier blocker. We're going to go for the Goku here. Ideally trying to awaken, but we don't have to. Mill some cards. Hit no Dragon Balls, unfortunately. Well, we will get a marker, though. Go into the blocker. It'll resummon, and we'll mill 2 cards, grab a Roshi. Another important thing with this deck is to make sure you use the Gokus liberally in the early game. That is why this deck, I think, is best run at high life, because you want to be comboing those Gokus to make sure you get Roshi procs. Any Roshi you mill without a Goku in drop is just wasted value, right? That's just a 10k that you're not getting. So you want to be spending those Gokus as much as possible, and hopefully proccing every single Roshi that you mill. It's unavoidable sometimes. Like sometimes you just don't have the time to put the Gokus in drop, or you don't have the Gokus when you mill the Roshis. But if you can go for the Roshis as much as possible, it is worth it for sure. We're going to go for the mills here with the Goku. Grab 2 blockers and a marker and a Goku. Absolutely ridiculous. At this point, we kind of just completely out-tempoed him. We're still at 5 life, so we're not in danger of dying, and we have so much combo in hand. And we do get to awaken this turn as well, which is nice. Play the Hercule, grab a Bulma, and we'll flip. Play Gogeta to out the 5-drop. I don't know why Gogeta there and not the triple striker. I don't know why I did that. Maybe I just didn't have it in drop? Strange play. I don't have a defense for that. I think I just misplayed. But whatever. Our opponent's gonna play double striker again. I mean, that's a boo. They'll just do this all day. But we are in a great position here. Gonna go 40. We'll combo out. At this point, we are completely set. You can't even restand a blocker because of Gogeta. Oh, is that why? To stop the blocker? That might have been why I went for Gogeta there. That actually makes sense. We go for the Goku. And at this point, this game is pretty much wrapped up. We're just kind of styling on him. So we go for the Dragon Ball mill here. Get very lucky that Dragon Balls aren't in the bottom of deck. We could have gotten around it with the Gokus. We just would have had to wait a turn to awaken, which would have been sad. But we do get the awaken, grab the Gogeta, and swing the board. It's our turn again. Another cool thing about this deck is as you keep playing the game and you're charging more cards and putting more cards on field, your deck gets smaller and smaller. So awakening becomes much easier, and you'll see here that like we get so many Dragon Balls from rotation. It helps that the Gokus are sticking around as well, I will say. But we really should have won the game this turn, but I think at this point I'm just like having too much fun playing the deck. just playing solitaire over here. So we don't end up winning this turn. Shockingly. But this game is pretty much over. Yeah, that is our Boo game. Pretty good Boo matchup, honestly. Like, shockingly good for this deck not being a meta deck. But, yeah. The final game is going to be, of course, against Cell. Let's go to that right now. So, our final game of the day is against Cell. We always got to do one against Cell at the end. And this is actually the first time I think that I'm beating Cell on this channel in a video. So, that's pretty nice. I will say, keep in mind that these games are heavily cherry-picked. I mean, this deck is pretty consistent, but there are going to be games where you just open a bunch of Kamis, a bunch of Roshis, a bunch of Gohans, and you just can't win the game. We do actually have a pretty bad hand this game, but we are saved by milling the Gohan. So just like little things like that, like if you get unlucky with your RNG, this deck can just face plant and brick, unfortunately. But I didn't show those games because they aren't interesting, but do keep in mind if you're playing this deck on your own, a lot of games are going to just come down to that. But also, there's a lot of ways to mitigate that RNG, you know? So I think that this deck is definitely very high skill ceiling, and I think a good pilot can definitely get to a position where you aren't as reliant on RNG as you could be. But there are still situations where, you know, things just go wrong. Like when we draw Kami for turn, for instance. Gotta love that. Yeah, it's kind of rough. You want to play for Kami because you want the marker, obviously, but drawing Kami just feels so bad. Such a nothing card in your hand. Our opponent's playing Cell. Kind of just skip past the first few turns as far as commentary because it's pretty self-explanatory. We're just doing our curve, playing our cards. Bulma. We grab a Dende. Gonna mill 2 for the Dragon Balls, and we hit a Gohan and a Roshi. That's pretty good. Oh, we awakened already. I didn't even realize that. So that's highly unusual. Usually this deck will not be awakening on turn 4 without marker, but we managed to do it, so that's pretty cool. And fortunately, Gogeta lines up really well into Cell. Being able to just put that 5-drop in drop is super nice. We'll go ahead and play the Dende, and that gets a blocker for us. Hercule for a cantrip, and we'll swing 40. So yeah, if you can hit your perfect curve and answer their Cell with a Gogeta every time, this deck actually is a pretty good Cell matchup, but it is inconsistent, again, right? Like, if we don't hit that wish on the right turn, things get really bad because then they get multiple Cells out at once. And they can also really efficiently remove the Gokus. So that is annoying as well. But it is nice. They have to spend resources outing your big guys. They don't usually melt the board. Our opponent decides not to remove the Bulma here, which I think is a huge throw. That Bulma gets so much value if it stays in the field. We go for the Goku here, mill some cards, get a Krillin and a Gohan, and swing 40. At this point, we are hopefully trying to win the game next turn, just trying to pressure to Cell, get cards out of his hand. Another Bulma here. Grab 2 out of life, and we'll pass. Our opponent's going Cell Chain again. Just trying to clear the board. But honestly, I think if you're Cell, you kind of just have to go face at some point. Like, you really can't be leaving Shenron on high life, especially because Shenron can just keep playing the game forever. Like, it's not going to lose any steam. It's just going to keep going. So you kind of have to swing face. I feel like against a more equipped Cell opponent for the matchup, this deck wouldn't do as well because they would just go face more. But that is one advantage of playing this deck. A lot of people are not prepared for Shenron. They don't know how to beat it. They just will swing board instead of going face. Because another thing is, if they're swinging at the Gohans, they're completely fine, right? Like, either they're swinging 20 instead of 15, so you're saving combo, or they kill the Gohan, you just mill it again and get it back. So I think it is definitely a trap to be swinging into the Gohan, usually. Especially once the Gokus come down, because the Gokus can just easily stack that Gohan back on top of the deck, play it out again. It's just very easy to keep that in rotation. Our Cell player is trying here. Um, I'm still at 6 life, really not feeling the pressure at all right now, and they are still just swinging board. Yeah, this is definitely not what you're doing against Shenron, but I did kind of want to show off that, like, this deck can beat Cell. It can do some stuff. He finally starts swinging face, which is good. Those Cell Juniors are a problem for this deck, because a smart Cell player will let you play the high life shenanigans, and then they will go for the Cell Chain, play all 4 of their Cell Juniors, and just swing face and bring you to 4, and they can kill you next turn. That is definitely a problem that we can't really deal with. But luckily, our opponent didn't really go for the Cell Juniors in the early game, and that definitely helped us out in staying high life super long. Because now, like, we are at 4, but we're able to pressure this Cell a little bit, so it isn't too bad, right? And we get a blocker up, grab a Dragon Ball, mill some cards, play another Goku. And we're able to kind of thin this Cell's hand a little bit, make the hand up more manageable next turn. And we'll stack a card with Goku. That's a cool thing you can do with that card. If you don't use the stack effect for whatever reason, you can just put a card back on top and draw it next turn. You can't grab back super combos because it has to be 5 or less, but you can grab that like a Bulma or something, which is pretty cool. Our opponent is pretty much out of steam at this point. They don't have Cell Chain anymore, and we basically win on the crackback. At this point, we're just sitting the Cell's hand, trying to get that last Dragon Ball. We go for the Goku, stacking our deck. I think I make a mistake there, but I definitely should have been able to awaken there. I think maybe I stacked top instead of stacking bottom, because then we probably could have milled all the Dragon Balls. But, yeah, whatever. We still have blockers up. We're probably good to go here. The Cell can try and hand up on us. They have so few resources that it's probably going to be tough, especially with super combos in our hand. So yeah, there is Shenron beating the entire meta. I think this is a pretty cool deck. Definitely has potential. I think with the Among Us support especially, this deck could be crazy. If we just get a few more targets to mill, this deck's going to be really, really good. But yeah, that's the list. It's super experimental right now. So if you have any ideas for changes or tweaks I could make to make it more consistent or more explosive, please let me know. And thank you guys for watching. I'll see you on the next video. Goodbye.